Whoops, back at it again. Now, there's a part of season 19, episode 1 of Sister Wives that really got me. Like, I was on the verge where I was doing the reviews, I was cutting videos, and, I was trying to be good, try not to speak in French because, as some people may or may not know, I am fluent in French. So, when I watched this part of the video, I had that, what? moment, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is where Kody was sitting there describing his FOMO, his fear of missing out. As it turns out, you can't mistreat people and expect to have those people in your life long term. Like, if you treat people bad, you ignore them, you deprive them, you do things to them, you can't expect that person to just continually come back around like a wounded puppy. And I think that this is one of the things that Kody is learning as we're watching in season 19, which is him a few years ago back in 2022. So let's take a look at the scene that I'm referring to. And folks, please try to keep the French to a minimum. There may be children present. Headphones, kids, headphones.
They know that I suffer from FOMO about my family. Fear of missing out, okay? So anything they can do that excludes me is a punishment to me.
What the fear of missing out. When I hear him say FOMO, I really think, and I'm going to have to edit this. So guys, get the buzzer ready, get the dub ready, because I'm going to have to go ahead and do this. What he's talking about when he says FOMO, it's not fear of missing out. It's forking over my offspring. That's FOMO, F-O-M-O, fork over my offspring, because that's what he's doing. When I say he's screwing his offspring over, his kids over, we have to keep in mind, when we talk about like Coyote Pass and him shortchanging the wives, him not going over and spending time with them, because according to him, it's not about being the favorite, it's about finding favor. And if you don't have that favor because of your behavior, then he won't come over and visit you. But he also shared that the portal that he uses to connect with his children is through the mothers. So therefore, if the mothers can't find favor with him because of their behavior, then the kids who belong to that mother get screwed over too. And that's one of the things that, even though we talk about like Coyote Pass and Robin and him taking money out of the family fund and using it towards houses, him being able to walk the kids to school and spending time over at Robin's house and enjoying her company because they have the honeymoon experience, we also have to keep in mind that it's not just the OG3. It's the OG13 as well. So when he's over there spending time with Robin and spending money on Robin, there are kids who are going without. There are kids who grew up and they didn't have access to their father's finances. They didn't have access to their father's time, affection, attention. All these things were missing because he was in a disagreement with their mother. And this is one of the funny switches that happens, kind of that karmatic effect, that karma effect, where you have Christine, who is in Utah and has recently filed for custody and filed for child support. And he's sitting there saying, it's not fair because they're keeping my kids away from me and they're going to sue me and take my money. And it's not fair because I'm trying to have a relationship with her and we should be adult enough to where we can meet and co-parent together without involving the courts. And I agree with that point. You should be adult enough. If you're adult enough to make a child, you should be adult enough to take care of a child. And part of you taking care of that child is you being able to co-parent with a parent whom you may or may not like or get along with. You have something in common. And so it's more important that you deal with that parent so that you can deal with those children. But at the same time, this isn't just for when the marriage or relationship falls apart. It should also count when you have a disagreement with your girlfriend, or in this case, his wives. If you have a disagreement with Janelle, Mary, or Christine, that shouldn't hinder your ability to be able to go over to the house and hang out with your kids. Call up your kids and find out what's going on with your kids. And he's saying like, oh, because they went out and their lives didn't stop because I'm no longer around. Their lives, they didn't stop living because their mother left me or I'm separated from their mom, then somehow they're punishing me. They're not punishing you by living their life. They're not punishing you by moving forward with the things that they have to do. We could talk about like him dissing Maddie and saying he doesn't want to talk about Maddie. We could get into that, but we could also look at something he had said during the course of the video, which I thought was very telling and is also very revealing as to why he may not be dealing with Maddie, or more to the point, why Maddie may choose not to deal with him.
They're moving Isabel, so Janelle helped. Oh my goodness, the tables have turned so bad.
Oh, that's clever right there. Oh, they're trying to trick me.
And that's my favorite part. Oh, the tables have turned so bad, like it's a joke, like it's a joke on him. The joke is on you, Jack, because if you were staying in touch with Isabel, if you were calling Isabel and you were dealing with Isabel, then you would know that she is moving. You just found out on the couch that she's moving from North Carolina back to Utah. So she's moving from one coast back to where you are. She's going to be maybe 4 hours away from you in the drive. You could go down and see her at the same time you would see Truly. But are you driving to see Truly? Are you spending that time? Or are you so angry with Christine that you are neglecting your children? Are you so angry with this woman? You have to have the understanding that you were once a husband and you have a relationship with your wife. And that relationship that you have with your wife, with your partner, is completely separate than your relationship that you have with your kids. Just because you get along with your wife don't mean you get along with your kids. And just because you don't get along with your ex-wife doesn't mean that you can't get along with your children. And I think that that's the stumbling block that he hit. So it's weird to me that he's sitting up there saying, oh, it's so weird. My, how the tables have turned. And let's listen to the excuse that he provides as to how the tables have turned. It's not the tables have turned because I was down there and I was in touch with Isabel every day, and now all of a sudden she doesn't want to have anything to do with me. He gives it as another distraction as to why things are different now.
Christine didn't want to live in the same house because she was always having to walk on eggshells with Janelle and Mary. And now Janelle seems to be kind of following Christine around like, oh, you're so awesome and your life is so great. And I follow, it's just, that's what appears to me to be. I'm not getting the big picture anymore because I'm not involved.
Now, I don't like to speak for anybody, but if I were to speak for somebody and I was in Janelle's shoes and somebody had said that about me, especially on national television, the first thing I would say is, Kody, fork you. Okay? Fork you. I'll try to clean that up. See, I did that. I'm not going to sit here. When you say that about somebody, what you're essentially saying, you're calling her a puppy, a puppet, or a dumbass. You're calling her an idiot because she's following around behind somebody. She doesn't have brains to think for herself. So what that tells me is that you don't respect her. You don't respect her decisions. Now, she made a decision not to be a part of you, not to include you, because your relationship isn't where it used to be. And he has to get to the point where he starts to understand that your relationship is now different. And if you want to have a relationship moving forward, not just with Isabel, not just with your other children, but with these women, you have to recognize where you are now. The way that they used to treat you before, where they would kiss your ass and pretend like you're the smartest thing in the world and the sun rises and sets in the crack of your behind, those days are over. You have to deal with these new folks now. Welcome to the new world, Kody. I hope you enjoy. Grab a pamphlet on your tour because this is the world that you live in now. This is your situation and you have to come to terms with it. And it's not that that whole excuse of the one house and, oh, this is why my family fell apart. Your family fell apart because you neglected them. We can call it the COVID rules or whatever the case may be, but your family and your relationships fell apart because you neglected to maintain and maintenance those relationships. And because you didn't take time to do that, you don't have them anymore. This is why we can't have nice things, because you breaking them. You broke the nice things that you have. And it's also hilarious to me that he does this next part where he laments the loss of these relationships.
Just the failure of the experience that was everything on my goals. Now failures happen, and I'm going to grow up, and I'm going to put on my big boy panties. I'm going to get through this. You know that I am. Oh, but it was like the dream of Camelot. You know, it's like we had this dream, and, you know, a whisper might have blown it away, but we strengthened, we got strong, and then it just fell to and it's very sad to me.
As a side note, I also like the fact that they're now starting to use French too. I like the fact that I think that this is actually endearing because it shows that they're actually real people. They stop pretending. And that's part of the problem. When he talks about we had Camelot, we had such a beautiful life, we had everything going on, and it was so wonderful. And for some crazy reason, maybe the one house thing, it all fell apart. The truth of the matter is that you guys were lying from day one. Mary has revealed that. You guys were lying from day one, from shoot one, from scene one, from episode one, season one. You were telling a lie. You weren't being honest with what was going on. Christine had been miserable for years. Mary had been miserable for years. Things were not what they appeared to be. He's not lamenting the loss of his relationships. He's lamenting the loss of the fantasy world that he was pushing onto us. And one of the funniest parts about that whole thing is that as you're sitting there trying to convince us that we didn't see the last, 17 seasons, because the first 2 seasons you were pretending to be the ace. You know, I'm the big dad, I'm the greatest dad, I'm super involved, I'm hyper involved with my wives, I got all the time in the world, and you know, I don't have 24 hours, everybody else do, but because I'm a Mormon and I can multiply my love, I can also multiply my time, so technically I'm operating on 72 hours a day as opposed to 24. That's the lie or the propaganda that you were pushing on to the people who watch the show. But you can't convince those people after they watched 19 seasons of you neglecting and lying to your wives and mistreating your wives and telling them things that aren't true, watching you drop your kids off and not dealing with kids because you can't be a parent and you can't address them as a parent and deal with them one-on-one, but you have to filter everything through their mothers in order for you to be a dad. And if you have to go through their moms in order to be a father, then my question is, do you deserve the moniker of being a father? 1, 2, because father isn't just the sperm donor that just drops a deposit off one lovely evening. It's somebody who is actually involved with their children and trying to maintain and help their kids out through the different stages of their lives. Not just the early stages when they're looking up to you like you're a hero and you're Superman, but the years in which they realize that you do have faults and that you are a human being and that you do have feelings, goals, ambitions, and you, more importantly, that you do make mistakes, but you're trying to teach them to do better than you. When you want your kids, and this is just my approach as a parent, I want my kids to be better than me. I don't want my kids to be like me. I don't want my kids to meet the standards and the levels that I've reached. I want them to shoot beyond me. I want to look at my kids' lives and say that they did so much more. They did stuff I wish I could have did. They took on challenges and they conquered obstacles. And they did things in their lives that I wish I could have done. And that's where I would find pride, but not Kody, because when he talks about the failure of his family, it's all about what he wanted and how it didn't meet his goals and his expectations. And he ignores the fact that you had other participants in this relationship. There were other people there. And these other people have goals too. They have dreams and aspirations too. And they want to realize their goals, dreams, and aspirations. And some of those goals, dreams, aspirations, life choices have nothing to do with you. When Isabel decided to go down to North Carolina, they said, because I rewatched some of the episodes leading up to that, trying to get some material for some of my other videos. And I watched the excitement. And part of the excitement that they had in going down, Isabel going down to live with Maddie, was the opportunity for Isabel to see a functioning marriage, a functional relationship, a healthy relationship, as opposed to what she had when the dad, pumps a kid into a wife and then he disappears and only comes by when it's convenient. She went down to North Carolina and she watched these two struggle together, live together, grow together, develop together, and grow a family together. And that's a different experience. Aspen and Christine were excited for her to see that and experience that. When we talk talk about Christine going for child support, child custody. What Christine is realizing is that by being with David Woolley and having him in the house and the home every day, dealing with her kids, him dealing with his family, and he's there on a consistent basis, she's realizing the difference of what a good man, a good husband, and a good father is. She's starting to see what it actually is. Not just a guy who is better than the other guys in the community, but a guy who is actually doing what he's supposed to do.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Got him!
Now, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that this is a French moment, or do you think that I'm just blowing it out of proportion? Let a brother know down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Give me that HBO special, which is Help a Brother Out special. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you can see my videos. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living